Hello everyone, my name is Coach Anthony, and today what we're going to be looking at is making a metal material inside of UEFN, specifically like a bronzish material, something kind of like this that you can kind of see over here in my reference image. I thought that'd kind of be fun, and maybe we'll put it on something here at the very end, like a statue. By the way, for any of you that's watching, all the stuff that you see here in UEFN using this material graph is the same as Unreal Engine 5. This just takes less time to boot up, so I just decided to do it in here instead. Okay, so let's just go ahead, and I think this should be a lot of fun. I really want to do more how-to videos inside of UEFN, so let's get going. To create a material in UEFN, I'm first going to right-click here, and I'm going to come here and click Material, and I'm going to call this M_bronze. And then if you don't know this, you definitely should do this. The next thing you want to do is right click and then come here and create a material instance. Never ever ever use the base material whenever you're actually creating something. So I'm going to call this mi_bronze. Just like that. And then I would also recommend you use the same prefixes where M stands for material and MI stands for material instance. Cool, cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. And one of my goals here in making this material just for you all is to not use too many of the fancy textures here that exist kind of in here. I'm really going to try and limit it to just using like the noise texture, for example. Cool, 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 cool. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of get started here. To begin off, as I just said, I want to go ahead and grab a texture sample here, and I'm going to go ahead and use the noise texture here, and we're going to go with this. Actually, I'll probably go with this water-ish noise texture. Let's just see what this looks like. To preview, by the way, you can just right-click and click Preview Node. This definitely looks like a good base to get going here. We'll handle tiling here in a second. So to get going here, the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to hold L on my keyboard and left click, and it creates a lerp node. This is going to allow me to combine two colors, where I'm going to go ahead and come here, and I'm going to call this, actually I'm not going to give the person abstraction to this. This is going to be the base color. And I'm going to come here, and I'm going to call this blend amount with noise. Cool, and in this case, we'll go ahead and do like a 0.7. Come up here, click this in here, click this in here. And then now we're going to come here and we're going to pick a nice bronze-ish base color, which would be kind of in this orange area. Drag it down. That should give us a nice little bronze color here. Let's just go ahead and preview this guy. See kind of what we're getting here. So this is very, very bright. We'll be able to change that kind of here in a second, but let's just tone this down a little bit. Not too bad. Cool. All right. So next thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this here, and I'm going to give myself the ability to contrast this and use saturation on this before it gets to where there's a mix in the coloring. So to do that, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and hold M to do a multiply, and then I'm going to come here and I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to be brightness. This is a really, really, really good trick you can do to either increase or decrease the brightness of a given node here. So as you can see, when I start to preview this, it's very, very bright. And if I want this to like be not as bright, I would come here and do like 0.5, for example. And as you can see, as I slowly start to decrease that value to like say 0.2, and 0, you get fully dark. So this is just a nice little way here in which you can increase or decrease the brightness. Okay, now that I got that going, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do here is add the ability to do some contrast. So to do contrast, what you want to do is you want to get a power node like this, basically, and then this is going to be the base of your power, and then basically here, this exponential value here is going to be the contrast. So let's go ahead and look at this here. I'm going to go ahead and preview this here, and this is now going to be contrast. Right, and then as this number gets higher, the more the color is kind of tweaked out, as you can see, and it's definitely exponential. And this just gives me the ability to really control just how much like color is coming through versus not. And then the very last thing here I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and grab a desaturation node, and I'm going to drag this in here. But I don't actually want to desaturate. What I actually want to do here is I want to basically, what I want to do is I want to saturate. I want the ability to add color. So I have contrast here, and next is going to be saturation. So to do that, I need the opposite of what I would put in the desaturate node here, right? So I'm going to do a 1 minus x, which basically gives me the opposite of whatever I'm doing here. So this is desaturating, so I want this to saturate. And that's why we have the 1 minus x value there. I'm going to come in here, saturation, and we'll just go ahead and set this to 1 as a default value. Boom. And as you can see here, I have some good saturation, and the higher this value goes, the more the colors are amplified, and as the lower the value goes, the more black and white it gets. And now I have quite a bit of control now over my base material. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug this in here to the B. And now I'm going to come here and just kind of manipulate these values a little bit. So I think I'm going to go to 0.8 on the brightness, 0.2 on the contrast, or 0.4-ish maybe. Come here. There we go, kind of getting more of what I wanted. There we go. Kind of go with 1 there. There we go. We're starting to get a lot more of what I was hoping for here. And this is kind of the nice thing about having a material node here, is I really can kind of control just how much each material is really coming through here. Now, if something I also am kind of thinking about doing here is rather than this being the base color and this being a blend amount, I'm actually going to delete this here. I'm going to hold Alt to disconnect this node, and I'm actually going to drag this here into the factor. And now what I have the ability to do is actually create 2 colors here. So I'll have a base color 1 and then a base color 2. And this allows me to make it so that it's not too overwhelming in one direction. And this gives me a lot of control here because basically I can come here and make that white if I wanted to, or dark, and it's going to blend these 2 colors together based off of this base texture here. And this is definitely a really, really nice start to kind of what I want going here. We're going to kind of get more of the sheen and the tint here going, but this is definitely a very nice start. And especially when I make this a material instance, we'll really be able to make it look more like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drag this now here into there, just like that. And this is now what the material looks like. Okay, now that I got the basics down, let's just go ahead here and start to look at how I can manipulate the normal. So, to manipulate the normal, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and find, of course, a normal map I like. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to type in noise, and let's just see if I can get a normal map. Here, I think this is perfect. So the reason why I really like this is because it has a lot of bumps in it. So if you can already see here just alone, you're going to see kind of that bumpiness come out. And now I want the ability to kind of change how intense that normal is. So to change the normal intensity, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a flatten normal. Flatten normal, which is right here. And of course, I want to have a parameter that describes the normal intensity. So I'm going to do a 1 minus. I'm going to come here, and then this is going to be normal intensity. We're going to set this to like 1, for example, and I'm going to drag this into here like so. And now I have some control over the normal intensity, which is really, really, really important. This will allow me to kind of scale back the normal if I think it's like too bumpy, or I can really, really, really amplify it and make it ridiculous like that, kind of just depending on what I think would work best. And that's pretty much what you always want over materials, is the ability to manipulate it and get the results you're looking for. Cool, cool. All right, so next I really want to look at the metallic and the roughness values. I may only really manipulate the roughness, and we'll see how I want to approach metallic here in a second. But just like everything else, I'm going to go ahead and grab a texture sample here. Let's just see if they have a gradient. They do. cool. I'll actually take this gradient here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and kind of do the same setup I did here for this guy, except this will be now base color brightness. Sorry, I'm just getting a whole bunch of weird notes here. Base color contrast, base color contrast. Sorry, just doing some housekeeping here, keeping everything nice and organized. Cool, there we go, the base color 1 and 2. Okay, all right, so now I have this lerp node here, or excuse me, this texture sample here, and I'm going to go ahead and plug this in here to the roughness, and as you can start to see here, basically it gets a little bit shinier, like here, and then gets like less shiny kind of like up here. So there are some things we can do to change that, but for right now, I'm actually kind of happy with the way it looks. So to go ahead and give myself the ability to manipulate this, I'm going to come here and we're going to go ahead and grab a roughness, brightness, like this, and we're basically going to kind of get the same stuff here, except I'm just going to do a contrast instead of adding the desaturation. I don't really think we need the desaturation, so boom, come here, this will be our base metal value. Come here, also create a base specular. And we're already starting to get a very nice start here to kind of what we would want this to look like. I'm going to go 0.3 here, and we're already starting to get like a nice golden look, getting some nice reflections here from the roughness and specular, kind of mining together, and it's looking pretty good so far. We also have the normal here on the bottom. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here is I actually am going to have all the coordinates feed the same information, meaning like they're all going to take the same coordinates. You don't have to do this for every material you use, but it's definitely a nice thing to do if you can. So let's go ahead and set that up. So to set up coordinates here, I'm going to come here and I'm going to type in texture coordinate like this. I'm going to hold M to get a multiply node. This is going to come in here like this. And then I'm going to go append vector. And I'll get my 2 vectors here. And I'll drag this in here. And this will be our tiling X. And I'll set this to 1. And then this will be tiling, or excuse me, this needs to be a constant. Then this will be tiling Y. Like this. So basically what this is going to allow me to do once I drag this all into here like this, this, and this, is as you can see it allows me to stretch out the texture in a specific direction. So if I wanted to stretch it out on Y, I could do that. I can also stretch it out on X. And that's basically how you can kind of use this parameter here. It allows you to change the tiling or the sizing of the material. Okay, next I'm going to come here and we're going to go ahead now and create a way to change the rotation. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to type in rotator. And I believe it's the custom rotator. Yeah. So this is going to take the coordinates just like before. And then I'm going to come here and do an append. And from here, this will be the rotation center, and then this will be your X value, and then your Y value. And as you can see, this is changing the rotation amounts. So like where the rotation is basically. So like the X and the Y for the rotation sensor. And then now I can change amounts of rotation. So this is amounts of rotation. Right here. And then this does take something like a 45. So we'll just do 0.5 for example, 5/4. And basically if I come here and do like 0 for example, you can start to see that this will change the rotation. And then I can change the pivot point of that rotation here. This is just something kind of you can play around with and have some fun with if you really want to rotate your material. And yep, so that's that. So that adds the ability for me to rotate this. And then I also need the ability to move it up and down. So to move it up and down, I'm going to come here and grab an add node. And it's going to come here and it's going to take these two guys just like that. And then again, I'm going to take the append node and I'm going to go offset. Generally it's called offset when you move this. So offset X and then offset Y. Boom, and then I'm going to plug these in here just like this. Boom, boom, and as you can see here, I can basically start to move this material in a direction, like X or Y. Kind of like that. And yeah, there you have it. So this is just a very standard setup. I use this setup all the time for manipulating stuff. Let me make sure this is rotation center X. This is rotation center Y. And then this is the amount of the rotation. Cool. All right, so now that I have a nice little base node network set up for all of the things here. Yep, everything's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now it's time to actually make this look like bronze in our world. So I'm going to come here and grab a nice shape here. We'll just go with the sphere. I'm just going to drag up the sphere just real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and come here to the side here. We're going to drag on the bronze just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to come here to the tiling on X and Y, and I'm going to make it 10, since the dots here on my texture over here, if you can see, are very, very, very small. So you can barely see those dots, so I want the tiling here to be a lot bigger, and already that had a massive impact, I would say, like on how this looks. See here, I'm going to scale this just real quick so you can see it a little bit better. But like kind of already right away, I'm getting a lot better look and I can really, really see these dots better. Next thing I'm going to do is kind of normal intensity. We're actually going to take this down a little bit to like 0.4 for example. I am going to come here and make this not that. Hold on. Give me a second here. This is a cube, right? Oh, it doesn't only give me... Never mind. Sorry about that. Little detour. Okay, alright, anyways, as I was saying here, so I changed up the normal intensity just a bit. Okay, next thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to look at the specular and the metallic. So we're going to go ahead and put this up to like 0.5. I really like that. We're going to go 0.7. I feel like I'm getting a lot more of the coloring from the material now, and it's really, really, really starting to show. I'm also going to change the specular to like a 0.3 so I get a little bit more reflection around the metal. I'm already starting to like how this is looking. The brightness here, I'm going to change this to, oops, not 1. Just going to kind of find a nice little decent number here. I don't want the black to be too like apparent as you go here. I just want you to kind of see touches of it, but nothing too crazy. So we're going to go 0.25 for this, and that should be totally fine for the brightness of the roughness map. I'm going to come here to the contrast here, and we're going to go ahead and kind of, so if I push it too much, you'll kind of get these rings, so I don't want the rings to show up. Kind of want it to be like right in there. That's a little too much actually. Much better. There we go. Can't see the rings, but the reflectiveness is there, and it's very, very pronounced. Cool, cool. All right. Base color looks fine right now. I am gonna come here and just touch down the saturation a bit. I am going to up touch of the contrast here. If I make this more, it's gonna get more of that. Feel like the bronze. Let's see this bronze color real quick. It really doesn't have like any of that black. If you kind of see, it's a little bit more of like a whitish color. And it's a lot more of like speckled dots. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this like 30 and like 30. Yeah, because now I get a lot of dots. That's a lot more what I'm going for. We're gonna change the roughness back to like 1-ish. Yeah, now we're getting a lot more of what this would be. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and crank up that contrast just a bit here. I think I might have done it too much.
So realize the way I'm winning these fights isn't even necessarily because I'm aiming better. You're hitting your shots. What I'm doing is I'm only peeking out for 1 second to be able to gain just a little information. And on ISO, it's a really big thing because think about why ISO was made as a character, right? He was made directly to counter operators. So the best thing you can do against an ISO is just peek for just a millisecond, get that shield off, and then peek again when you don't have to worry about the shield. Good shots. Finally, I got no information off that. No, I haven't expanded.
Yeah, and there we go. Actually, even though it's supposed to be whites, I kind of like, even though it's supposed to be more of a white like that, I actually kind of like the darker color like that.
You can stay here for a long time. I think it actually will start getting smaller or something. Maybe we'll both die.
And yeah, there we go.
You want to know what I wonder what happens? Imagine if, okay, like think about
I think this came out pretty good. Let's just go ahead and check it next to a statue or something.
because I haven't spawned in as a body yet.
Oh, you have invincibility. You can stand halfway in and out.
So imagine this. Imagine an ISO ults another person, right? And instead of killing each other,
Yeah, I think the bronze came out pretty good. Just kind of running through here, checking out some of the material. Yeah, and there you have it, folks. There's how you can create a very nice procedural bronze material. And as you can see, I only use what? A noise gradient and normal, noise normal bump map to create the material. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know in the comment section. Please like the video, subscribe, and as always,